But we
it's
can wait.
live.
Yeah, we can wait until 6 to start the actual thing.
Absolutely. It's absolutely. Hey, man, I'm glad you're doing this, man. You know, like I really am. It's nice to see that, you know, people are really doing podcasts. People are doing like, you know, YouTube videos. People are really starting to get like the game going for ICX, and it's nice to see. And we got 10 people watching already. That's nice. That's a nice start.
Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, for everyone watching, we're gonna wait until 6 a.m/4 p.m. to start the discussion. But
Yeah, I was gonna say you haven't even
right here.
fallen asleep yet. It's a beautiful it's a beautiful apartment. Oh, hotel. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's pretty normal one here.
You see, in New York, things don't have to be said for them to be said. You know.
Yeah, this is the Muji Hotel.
The mood. What's
MUJI. It's
MU?
they're like a Japanese clothing / accessories / like home stuff brand.
Cool.
And this is kind of the style, you know, like this kind of
Yeah,
wood.
it's very quaint. I like it.
Yeah. So they have a hotel chain as well.
Nice.
I see Patrick here. Hey,
Yes, I
Patrick.
see. Hello, Connor. How you doing? Good to see you too. Good to see everybody coming in. Glad we were able to do this. I want to thank Brian personally for getting this going and hitting me up about this.
I know. It's 6 a.m. guys here, so
He hasn't had
if I
any
sound a
sleep.
bit tired, that's why. But
If it
I
wasn't
will
for
try
Brian
to.
Lee, I wouldn't be an icon. I just want to let you guys know that I would be in another project I won't name, and yeah, I won't name it, but I want to thank Brian Lee for getting me out of that project.
Oh, that one.
Yes. Oh, you know.
You would be wrecked if you were still in that one.
I would be more than wrecked. Be destroyed. All right, let me take off we don't need Telegram, do we? Not really. No, we don't. All right.
Razor Gang says, "Introduce yourselves."
Hey.
Yeah, we'll introduce ourselves in 4 minutes.
Yeah,
when
we're
this
starting.
officially starts.
Yeah. I'm excited for this, man. I'm happy to be on the show. I'm happy that we're going to do this, and I'm happy that all this stuff that's going on with Icon.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
Let me just drink my giant water first.
I'm pretty hyped that I've never had a podcast of mine with like Blockchain Brad. It's not a lot for some people, but for me, 2K views in 4 days is not that bad. So
yeah, that's a good number of views, especially for a really specialized sector like crypto.
Yeah,
and not just crypto, like high quality crypto stuff. It's not the buy this coin this week.
Yeah. What's up, Matt? I'm glad to see you here, man. Matt's building built the Catena website and is looking to build much more on Catena. He's great at UI. He's great at user design. I got to give him props where props is due, man.
Nice.
Catena is awesome. It looks beautiful. And we got some exciting news coming up that we'll share in due time.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. I'm hyped myself. I'm hyped to hear about, in the coming weeks what you have in store. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Oh, Patrick is making us look too good. Now I'm
Yeah,
nervous.
we're not that famous. We wish we were.
Oh,
We
here's
wish
that
we were.
Viola kid.
Nice. Are we got 2 minutes going?
Hey, TVK. That Viola kid is Drew from Tempo. I'll be talking to him next week.
Oh, nice, awesome, good stuff. All right, we got 1 minute to start. Oh, that's 3:58. Never mind. My vision is awful. You just know everyone in Icon. This is factual statements.
Sagun says Icon is moving up quite consistently lately.
Yes, it
I think
is.
there's a typo in there. It should be Icon is mooning quite consistently lately.
I find it baffling that some people are even like getting mad that Icon is not going on a straight parabolic run, even though it just did. And there's always room for need for correction and consolidation until, you know, it goes back up. And Tanel asked, is there a certain date when balanced out airdrip will take place? I'll take the reins on that. We don't have an exact date on balanced yet. It's supposed to release in March. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, capitalist. I've been trying. I try my best. Yeah. I usually keep it under wraps when I wear a crappy jacket or anything else. You wouldn't believe I'm 270 pounds, but
Jesus, you're like double my weight.
270 and
Not
5'9".
double, but I don't know. I'm like 150, I think. 160.
Yeah, it's fun. I absolutely agree with Connor. It's the all-time high, and the thing is just go there in one swoop. Now think about that. It happened in a matter of a week's time, and that would not be good because once it hit 1264, it went down to 992 and then 760 and then all the way down. It doesn't work like that. I absolutely agree. Oh, it's 4:00. You want to get started?
Let's wait like one more minute for people who
got it. Oh, nice. We got more people
who are dropping in. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Patrick, for sharing it on Twitter. Thank you very much. Hello, Fidel. How you doing? Razor, that was very smart of you. 115. See that's good. I like when people say that they're not scared to buy, because I remember when it was 80 cents, and even I was like, we need more awareness, we need more exposure. I'll take responsibility. And now, Min and Ricky really had an amazing marketing prospect and a marketing proposal that I could have never devised. And I think what they did was absolutely incredible. I think it speaks for itself.
All right, let's go ahead and start. It's 6:01, so if people aren't here, too bad. All right.
Hello.
So I'm Brian from RHIZOME. I'm the team lead over there, and with me today is Corey Costa. I'm sure you all know him from Twitter, from Telegram, from podcasts. This guy is all over the place. So
I try.
Do you want to go ahead and talk a bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Brian, for the introduction, and thank you so much for allowing me to go on your live stream. It's quite an honor. I just want to let everybody know that Brian Lee is the main catalyst why I am in ICX. I have known Brian for it's been 3 years, man. It's been a while.
That's crazy to think.
It is. On June 9th, 2019, I became the Icon Census ambassador. And then after that, through my work, I was able to get on a P-Rep team, Icon Vet. Then I joined the Ubic. Then I joined Midos. And now I am on Peter P-Rep with Peter Saddington and Creative Matt. And we are looking to build interoperable communities through Catena, among many other things that we have not announced yet, that I'm looking forward to announce with all of you in the coming weeks. So thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate this.
You're welcome. Yeah, I saw some tweets from Peter. I think there were like some blurred screenshots. Those are always good. So I'm looking forward to what you guys have in store. But just in general, this live stream, the premise of it is just to get two people together to talk about the recent news, the recent developments. It's nothing too formal, you know, just we're gonna have a
Absolutely.
chat about things, and I like that because, you know, I'm so busy now with all of these things, trying to build stuff on Icon and finding time to like edit an hour-long podcast is just too much. So I'm trying this
Definitely.
live stream thing for now, and Corey, I think people know you very well, so I wanted to have you on.
No, I
Uh,
appreciate it, man.
yeah, man. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things. The general price action that we've seen in the past few weeks, Binance joining as a P-Rep,
Mm-hmm.
ICONFi, which is a very exciting app slash platform that you can use to stake ICX, and
Mm-hmm.
you can earn yield on a bunch of other coins without controlling your private keys, which for mainstream adoption, I think that's very important. So we'll talk more about that later. We're also going to be talking about Paycoin and how they recently
That's huge.
integrated. Yeah, they have Bitcoin now, and they're going to add ETH and ICX. And then, yeah, we're going to finish off with like a short question and answer. So that's something that I want to bring up. Uh, we're going to have a short question and answer at the end. And I want you guys to come up with really good questions. Include your ICX address in the question, please, because the few questions that we choose, maybe 4 or 5, we're going to go ahead and send some ICX as a reward for supporting us and giving us good questions. So once again, if you're watching on YouTube, well, that's the only place you can watch. Go ahead and ask questions. Please only ask one. If we see you spamming, we're not going to choose your question.
I didn't drink any Red Bull today, so it's going to be hard to keep. So it would be hard to keep up with 10 questions from one person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so ask your questions in the chat and include your ICX address if you would like rewards if we choose your question. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the first topic. We're going to talk about the general price action. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, Corey. I still have PTSD about those days at 10 cents, at 12 cents. And after watching the drop from $12 down to 10 cents was like sobering.
Yeah, yeah, you could say that again, man. I
Yeah.
That's why when I'm in like the Republic of Icon chat or just in any chat where people talk about price, it's like when people ask me about liquidation or about the bear market for 3 years, I say to myself, I say to others that you have to have your own sell limit. You have to have your own plan. You can't go by even what I'm doing, what you're doing. You have to have your own investment heart, I like to call it, because if you don't, then you can end up like me in a 3-year bear market. But I've learned, and I'm grateful every day that I'm part of the Icon ecosystem now. And yeah, I can't believe the general price action in the last 2.5 weeks. Just look at that. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We were at 86 cents 2 weeks ago. And now it's February 20th and we're sitting at 219. And I know a lot of people are like, I see it around saying, oh, but we were at 250. We're going down. I'm like, guys, we just had a parabolic run of about 266%. Expect a correction. I mean, that's just a given. I mean, you just need to understand that parabolic rises lead to parabolic falls if there's no correction or consolidation. And there's obviously going to be another leg up soon. I mean, it's just a matter of when, with all the news coming up.
Yeah, I do think that when price is moving so quickly, it's sometimes hard for people to stay grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and yeah, that's just the human nature, I guess. You know, we see a price increase from 10 cents all the way up to what was the recent top, like $2.50.
About that, yeah.
And it's like that should be enough. I mean, what does enough mean? But like I know like that's a 25x or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
that that should be enough. Like let's take it slowly. You know, it's because I think emotionally we all want price to go up straight line, right? But
Of course.
logically, like think about how crazy that is. You know, it just doesn't make sense. It's unhealthy, it's unnatural. So uh, I think in the long term, you know, the price is going to continue moving up, especially as more projects launch on Icon. You know, last time we did reach $12 with nothing but a white paper, but also at the same time, a lot of that was probably driven by the market making and just, you know, it was a relatively smaller market compared to now. So it was, I think, easier to, uh, you know, make price do whatever you want if you had certain amount of capital. So, but this time around, you know, I feel like there's a lot more foundational stuff that can actually be valued. So it's
Absolutely.
very interesting to see this price discovery here. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, those are my thoughts on price. You know, I think it's doing well. You know, it's not, of course, the top performer in the space, but I think we're doing very, very well.
I absolutely agree. I think we're doing fantastic for what is coming. I mean, to name a few projects like you outlined before, Balanced DAO, Craft, Marvelous, Project Nebula, the charity and the charity organization and the development workshop that Spartan Node just had. We have Epics coming out. We have Catena, which is expanding rapidly. We have Icon 2.0, which is going to have multi-channel technology and BTP interoperability. And people don't know behind the scenes who Icon is working with. And they're working with very prominent cryptocurrency companies. Hint, hint, hint. I can't say anything else, but I will say that people will be astonished. Like I said to Brad about a couple of days ago, that people will be astonished to see who ICX is working with in the coming weeks and months, and especially when Icon 2.0 releases and Balance DAO releases and OMM releases. It's just a great time in Icon, and it's just so the releases are so on par with the bull market. They timed this perfectly, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, and then not to mention the fact My ID with 81 partners and the abolishment of the former identification system and My ID taking its place in South Korea. I kind of think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, you know, this time around there's a lot more stuff going on. So I'm very excited to see how the market is going to respond to that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I think the next thing that we want to talk about, let's go into Binance. So Binance just recently joined as a P-Rep. Currently, I think they started at like 155. Now they're at number 2.
In like a blink of an eye too, with 30
Sounds
million
natural.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Without question. But it
Yeah,
really does.
so yeah, and I remember 2 weeks ago, or I don't know exactly when, but it felt like a week or two ago when we first saw the Binance node, and all of us were like, "Is this really Binance? Like, why is it like the lowercase name?" You know,
Yep.
because I checked on their nodes on different networks, and it was always like the uppercase.
Yep.
So I was like, "Why is this lowercase?" And then some of the details in the
Yeah.
initial transaction were wrong. You know, the link to one of their their website files was wrong, and I was like, is this really Binance? Like, certainly they can't mess something like that up, right?
That's
They're
exactly.
they're
Yeah.
the leading exchange, and some people thought it was, you know, just some random dude who made a team called Binance node in order to try to get a pump going or something. and in crypto, stuff like that is always possible. So, but fast forward to, what was it, this past week, they made the announcement.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Binance joining as a P-Rep? I have my thoughts as well, but
Sure.
would be curious to hear yours first.
Sure. So there's a mixed opinion on Binance. And at first, we all thought it was fake. We all thought the lower cases meant that it was just some random guy just playing a trick. But then I forgot who told me on Telegram, but we did some digging. He did some digging and said that Binance was designated in the Cayman Islands, and that's where their node was registered, which was a big deal to me. And I was like, this is more and more, we're realizing that this may be a big deal. And I like what Creative Matt said in the comments. He said, Binance node jumping to the number 2 spot in an instant is a small glimpse of institutional partners jumping on Icon as a business entity P-Rep. I like that idea. Now below it, there's two I think arguments here, not arguments, but two sides of this, where people will say that Binance stakes on multiple different coins and it's not really that big of a deal. And then there's other people saying Binance giving recognition towards ICX is a massive deal. And I tend to go to the other side because of the massive deal, because Binance just staked 30 million coins. Okay. 30 million of the circulating supply. Now, I'm not good at math, but there's about 589 million circulating supply right now. And 30 million was just staked, not arbitrarily, but staked, predetermined. Now, that speaks for itself, plus a 22% staking rate from Icon on Binance, not to mention the fact, if you look at Binance's Twitter and you look at the amount of recognition that tweet got in a matter of 2 days, I was astonished to see. And I saw people comparing it to Cardano when they talked about staking. And I think that speaks for itself. And I think that Binance coming into Icon is a great opportunity to show that Icon means business. Binance wouldn't run a node on a project they don't believe has longevity. And if that's something to me that I think proves its point that Icon is here to stay, that the largest exchange on the planet has a legitimate staking in Icon, literally. So I think that's a big deal to me. I think Binance is a big deal, but I do understand the other side where people say, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal in my opinion, because 30 million circulating supply staked through Binance, that's 30 million gone. 30 million gone off the market.
Yeah, so I think I agree with you. I think there's definitely a trade-off of the pros and cons, but I think overall it's a positive for Icon, just because it is Binance. They are, I would say, if not the most recognized brand in the space, they're certainly up there.
Definitely.
Yeah, and them publicly supporting Icon is definitely good to have on our side. But
yes, it is.
At the same time, I worry sometimes, because Binance is not only an exchange. They have their own blockchain. So they have the Binance Smart Chain, which is also is a smart contract platform that is in direct competition with Icon and all of these different networks that they do offer staking on. So there's always that side to think about, because imagine in the traditional world if Coke and Pepsi had like controlling shares of each other. Of course they would be incentivized to act in a certain way that will kind of act in their own self-interest. And we on the outside can look at Binance and see, oh, they staked a lot of coins. I saw that wallet, I think, had 80 million ICX and 30 million of it was staked. So we could do some math and be like, oh, that means they have, 60 million bucks in value staked. But that seems like a lot of money to us, but to Binance, it could very well be part of, the cost of run the business, right? So
Of course.
so it's it's not clear to us how they value something like that, like $60 million might be an acceptable thing for them to have
Mhm.
a controlling stake in a competitor's network.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that side to think about, and I think Connor asked a good question where we're not sure if this is actually like Binance's funds, or if the 30 million is deposited from their users. I I don't think there's any way for us to tell that because it's all lumped
Right.
in the same wallet.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling it's probably theirs because the whole wallet
Agreed.
was 80 million,
Hmm.
and they have 30 million of it staked. So yeah,
Agreed.
that's my thoughts on Binance. Like right now, since the votes on the network do require like a minimum number of teams to vote, and it's not
Right.
only based on their weight, I I think it's still okay. But at the same time, if Binance really wanted to, they could just spin up 8 nodes and
Yeah.
immediately get to the top. Uh,
Agreed. Hmm.
so
And
there's yeah,
yeah, no,
sure, go.
absolutely. And when I look at Binance, for example, I saw someone in the comments, I think it was i6 Capitalist, saying that, Binance is a double-edged sword. I think that Binance, to a degree, Min said something a couple of weeks ago that has resonated with me. He said there are so many different tribes in cryptocurrency that are associated with their own coins, and the developers are behind the scenes working together with those same entities that are against one another in a sense of maximalism. So I think that there are multiple components here that we need to look at. And you brought up Coke and Pepsi. So it's a silly analogy, but it holds a lot of weight. There was a story once that there was a representative of Coke that went into, or was it Pepsi, that went into a Coke factory and stole their recipe.
What?
Instead, and seriously, instead of them taking the recipe and monopolizing on it, they reported the thief to the FBI. And what that means is for blockchain and Binance and Icon is that there is room for multiple blockchain projects to survive and thrive. And it shouldn't be just one blockchain to rule them all. Because if it was, then this would not be a decentralized ecosystem and this would not materialize as an ethos of decentralization. It just wouldn't. And I do believe it's partially a land grab. I mean, the monetary prospects of staking ICX is definitely gigantic. I can't disagree with that, and I'm not going to. But what I will say is that the longevity of Icon in Binance, the longevity of Binance coming into Icon as a node speaks for itself, I think. I think that Binance thinks that Icon is here to stay, and it's proven itself that it has been here to stay for 4 years now. So I think that Binance there's more good than bad, but I do understand why people think it's not a big deal, and I understand it. I do. I definitely
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah, I do think it's a good thing, and I saw that Guige de Jong. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. It says he said they just scoop up the rewards, but will not actually contribute anything to ICX. I think I have to disagree with that. They actually provide the most liquid market for the token right now. If you look at the trading volume, the top one is probably Binance. I'm pretty sure it
Mhm.
is, uh,
Yeah.
and probably by a fairly big margin. And they certainly have one of the biggest customer bases in the exchange space. So having an entity that supports this token with that kind of trading infrastructure, I think, is a big contribution. So,
Exactly. I agree. And I saw another question about coin, since we're on the topic of exchanges. I saw someone ask about Coinbase. Now I'm going to sit here and say that I don't know about Coinbase, but I will say this, that Icon has completed the Rosetta API integration, which is a prerequisite to get onto Coinbase, which is a very, very good sign. It's a very, very important step for getting listed on Coinbase. So that's the extent of the knowledge that I have. But I will say Rosetta API is a very, very crucial step into getting onto Coinbase.
yeah. Yeah, so before we move on to ICONFi, I think I can expand on that just a bit. So yeah, we've all been asking about Coinbase for a long time, and it does seem strange to me sometimes, like some of the coins that they have listed on there are, I mean, I'm sure if I looked into them, they're fine, but it's just surprising, that
Very.
some of those coins are listed and Icon is not. But one of the reasons it turns out was the Rosetta thing that you were just talking about, where okay, so basically what's going on is like there's so many different chains out there, and in order for your system to talk to each chain, there's like a specific syntax that you have to use to basically get info from the nodes, and maintaining all of those different systems. Like, think of one language basically to talk to each node. It can
Absolutely.
be it can be like difficult. It might be hard to scale. If you start, it's no problem if you only support like 3 chains, right? But if you get into 10 or 50, or sometime in the future, maybe if you have like 100 different coins on your platform, and you have teams that are in charge of maintaining the systems that talk to each of them, that can be sort of hard to scale. So Coinbase came up with this thing called Rosetta, and it's basically a layer that sits between them and the nodes, that basically translates all of these requests into something that Coinbase can use. So if they wanted to get the latest block on Bitcoin versus Ethereum, they can just use a single language to do that, and so it makes it simpler for them on their end. They have one system that they can use to talk to all chains, and that makes sense from a business perspective. Just to be able to support a different number of coins with a single language. So I do think it makes sense. I'm glad that Icon has finally finished that up. I think it's probably at this point being reviewed by Coinbase or whoever is in charge of reviewing. So once that goes well, I hope to see Icon listed on Coinbase.
Absolutely agree. And on the topic again of exchanges, somebody asked about Gemini. Now, I know that Min brought up that Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss of Gemini spoke with Min, and that Icon is one of the few cryptocurrencies on their Invest Cryptopedia database, which speaks for itself, that I think that those two individuals realize the strength of Icon, that they would list Icon in their encyclopedia of cryptocurrencies. And mind you, there aren't many cryptocurrencies in this encyclopedia. So listing ICX in that respect is pretty big, in my opinion. So I don't know about many listening, but I do know that they have their eye on Icon. That's a fact.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the more exchanges that it's on. I I, I think it's great. So
Mhm.
hopefully we'll see it on Coinbase. Hopefully we'll see it on Gemini. Hopefully we won't see it on BitMEX. And yeah, so let's go ahead and move to the next topic. So next topic is ICONFi.
Mhm.
So ICONFi is a recently released app. I believe it's for iOS and Android. I
Yep.
can't confirm the Android, but I have downloaded it for my iPhone. So yes, it's
Mhm.
on Android as well. Um, it's an app that I think is very important for new people in the crypto space because people who have been around for a while kind of know the whole, not your keys, not your funds thing.
Mhm.
But the truth is, there are those kinds of people, but then there are also a lot of people who really they want exposure to crypto. They don't want to think about the keys. And you can judge them for that. You can say it's right or you can say it's wrong. But
Mhm.
at the end, it's your opinion. Crypto is out there. If you want to keep your keys, that's great. If you don't want to keep your keys, that's fine. Have someone who is experienced with keeping keys keep your keys. That's why people don't put cash in their homes. I'm sure some people do, but most people have bank accounts. Same
Mhm.
thing. So IconFi lets you do a few things. It lets you stake your ICX, and uh, it will correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still doing the KYC process, so I
Mhm.
haven't been able to log in yet. But I believe they claim rewards for you once a day. And do they help you restake it as well?
I believe it's compounded. So like when I look at IconFi, there
Yeah.
is because I haven't completed the KYC either. I'm keeping my coins on the Iconix wallet, and I'm probably going to transfer over to my Icon wallet soon. Um, but I will say that when I look at IconFi and I see a fixed rate of 6.5 to 20% on Bitcoin, a 5.5% to 20% on Ethereum, a 7.5 to 20% on USDT, and a 7.5 to 11% on USDC. That speaks for itself. And Connor just specified that it's every 4 hours that
Yeah,
it's
I
compound.
think the compounding every 4 hours is for the other assets because for ICX you can't really compound each 4 hours because you can only claim the rewards once a day. So yeah, so Israel said you can automatically stake. So I think that uh, that's just great. You
It
can
is.
take advantage of the compounding and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to log in. But
Yep.
I think the even cooler thing about IconFi is it doesn't only support Icon.
Right.
And I say that because I think the most exciting part for me and the way that I plan to use the app is for USDC.
Yes.
Um, because first of all, I'm not going to put all of my bank funds in there, but
Mhm.
USDC is a one-to-one backed coin, unlike USDT, which
Mhm.
many people think is actually backed by Bitcoin, which is kind of funny, right? Uh, it works, but they just don't talk about it. But USDC is backed one-to-one,
Mhm.
and it's regulated in the States as well. So it's a stable coin that I personally trust the most. And And I'm most excited about that because it lets you earn interest on a coin that won't go up or down. And I
Which is
think
neat.
there is a lot of value in that because a lot of people keep cash in their bank accounts. And how much do they earn on that? This is like 0.2 2% if you're lucky. I have no idea what the bank rates are, but that's
A
that's about
maintenance
it.
rate.
Yeah, yeah, and you have maintenance fees, uh, and and of course the banks who are keeping your money, they're getting a lot more than point 0.1 or point 0.2.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're going out in the Wild West and lending your cash, and they're probably they get a pretty good rate on that, but they just don't pass it on to you, right? But
Absolutely.
with these new platforms that we have in crypto, you know, between all of the decentralized stuff on Ethereum, and then you have things like Celsius, you have things like BlockFi.
Mm-hmm.
There's there are a lot of places where you can deposit USDC, again, a regulated stable coin, and you can
Right.
earn 8 to 12% on that on these platforms per year. And that's huge.
That's
You know,
incredible.
that's like 100
That's
times more, or yeah, that's like 100 times more
yeah.
than what you could expect from a bank. And
It's
I
absurd.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, and like these kinds of like lending things, I think is more scary for people if the underlying asset is one that can go up or down, you know.
Absolutely.
But if you're able to lend out a stable coin and earn 8% on that, that's huge. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's like why I'm excited about uh, this product, because it lets you do a stable coin lending for what is it, like 8 to I thought I saw like 11% somewhere, or 8%, but still, you know, it's like it's a great number. And uh I do plan on creating more content about that side of things, you know, not trying to shill people Bitcoin, not trying to shill
Of
uh
course.
the stuff that can move up and down, but like, hey, you can move, I don't know, 10% of the funds you have in your bank to this stable coin and earn 8% on it per year. And if you feel comfortable with it, right, then maybe you add more. And the great thing is, if they use this product, you know, they add their coins in, and then they're like, that gets them exposed to the other stuff on the platform. You know, if they
Exactly.
transfer their stuff there, they might be like, what's Icon? You
Mm-hmm.
know, what's ETH?
Absolutely.
What's Bitcoin? And they might go and buy more. So
I
uh
absolutely agree.
yeah.
I absolutely
Did
agree.
did you have any more thoughts on that?
I did. I wanted to bring up the importance of how much money they raised in 2 weeks, 30 million. I think that's a huge deal that in 2 weeks' time they were able to raise so much and that they have expanded outside of South Korea. I think the important component of this is I saw a really awesome tweet a couple of days ago that Greece, for example, is the sixth largest country in regards to who is utilizing ICONFi. And it goes to show that ICONFi is a global phenomenon. And when it comes to having people invest in crypto and USDC, so for example, my sister, she's not really in cryptocurrency that much. She knows I've been in it for 4 years. She also knows that I've been involved in it. She knows who I work for, and I showed her IconFi, and I showed her that instead of getting a maintenance fee every month, you can put your holdings into USDC or Tether, which doesn't move like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, like Icon. And a lot of people are trepidatious into coming into cryptocurrency because of the massive amount of volatility. I know one of the reasons why some of my friends won't go into crypto is because the volatility is so large that they just can't stand the heat, so they stay out of the kitchen. But I will say that this is a perfect opportunity for people, especially newcomers to cryptocurrency, and even people who are older, who are used to bank account interest rates being 5-6%. That's like for lack of a better word, a blast from the past that you can have 6 to 8%, and even higher on your rewards through IconFi. I think that's massive. I think that will drum up also older investors because they'll realize, I've been in a bank now for 25, 30 years, and I've been getting 0.01%, and I have 100x opportunity to compound my money.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. That is a big, big deal. And I think that that's just the beginning of CFI, because a lot of people are calling ICONFi DeFi, and it's not. It's CFI, but technicalities. But the fact that Icon is coming out with these products with ICONFi and then DeFi with Balanced and OMM proves the point that Icon is truly expanding its use case. And ICONFi is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I think what would be really interesting, like since ICONFi is a product that is developed by Icon, I do want to see some additional preferences of features that are tailored towards Icon only. So, for example, we have Bitcoin, we have Ether, and we have USDC, which I believe they compound for you, right? So instead of taking that compound, what if there was a feature to like buy Icon with the compounded funds, or like a percentage of the compounded funds? And that would be super cool, because that's like a great way to get exposure to Icon. And I think there's something going on in your mind there where you feel like, since you're not touching your actual base capital, you're only playing with the compound fund that you get. If it like kind of takes that fund and then buys the Icon token for you, and then it stakes that for you, that's a great way for people to get exposure to Icon. So I hope something like that comes in the future, or even some way to buy the token within the app. I don't know the legalities around that. I think they might have to have an exchange license or something like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But like you said, like it does seem like there's a lot of people who's excited about this
I
app.
see.
So
Do
yeah,
you
I
want
think
me
we
to
should
show?
do.
You want me to show a little bit of on my phone? I'm gonna have it right here. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you want.
yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
sure.
cool. Let's see if this works out. Okay, so can you guys see this?
Yes.
Anything? Okay, so 3%, 3.5%, if I'm looking at that properly. And you have a minimum amount. And these are pretty small amounts to deposit and start compounding. Now, this might seem like a small amount, but let's go to fixed rate. Can you guys see that, or is it too bright? 6.5 to 20%, 11%.
Yeah.
That proves itself that this is huge. This is massive. You can choose on this app the duration of how you want to stake. So, for example, 7 days for Bitcoin, 20%, 30 days, 6.5%. I know it's foggy on the YouTube side, but my point being is that ICONFi has a huge potential to compound earnings. And I actually saw Tony D on Twitter talking about how he's utilizing ICONFi as his notion of passive income, and he's doing very well for himself with ICONFi. And if you guys want more information, there's actually a Telegram channel where ICONFi, they have their own Telegram channel, and Min is actually in there, and Tony D is the administrator, and they'll be able to answer all your questions. And Creative Matt, you are correct. When Balanced DAO comes out, you're going to have to go to the Balanced DAO website every week and claim your airdrip. I don't know about OMM, but I do know about Balanced DAO that you have to go on their website in order to claim your Balanced.
Yeah, we should talk more about Balanced maybe on the next one.
I'd like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to talk about that.
I definitely would like that.
The last thing that I'll say about ICONFi is like I would definitely recommend everyone to go check it out. It's a completely free app. You can, and like you said, like the deposit is quite low for what you
Mhm.
need in order to start compounding. And yeah, go check it out. That's ICONFI. You have to go through a KYC process because this is a legit app.
Mhm.
Icon does not play around with like the
No, they
law
don't.
side of things.
That's
So
good.
yeah, that's a great thing, especially since they're going to be managing your keys for you.
Yep.
And yeah, like maybe start with the stable coin side of things, because that
I agree.
is a great alternative, or maybe not an alternative, maybe like an augmentation to keeping funds in your bank account and you actually maybe lose uh, cash on that, because of
That's right.
inflation and all these different factors going on. You earn zero point 0.1 or 0.2%. You're probably not doing so well in the long term. So
No, not at all.
yeah,
Thank you, Fidel. Thank you, Fidel,
yeah,
for sharing it in the chat.
sweet. Yeah, so the last thing that we wanted to cover quickly, and then we'll jump into the question and answer, because I think the question and answer is probably the most fun part. But
Okay.
we'll go ahead and quickly cover Paycoin. So
Yeah.
Paycoin is a cryptocurrency payment app that is in South Korea. It's developed by Dano FinTech. I don't know if it's Dano or Danal. It's something like that. Danal FinTech, and one of the largest fintech companies in the country. And currently, the Paycoin app has over 750,000 users, and um, there's integrations on the merchant side with 60,000 merchants.
Mhm.
So this app initially only had Bitcoin. So basically, what that would allow you to do is on any of these supported merchants, you can go there and you can purchase stuff with Bitcoin, which
Mhm.
is, I think, a bad idea. Just because it's like slow, right?
It's so
You
slow.
you go there to pay, and then you're waiting for uh,
3 hours.
the money to go through. Yeah, like
Yeah.
depending on what the market is doing,
Yeah.
it can impact the speed of your transfer. So, that's not a good way to pay for your stuff, right?
Not at all. Not at
So
all.
yeah, they also announced upcoming support for ETH and
Mhm.
Icon. So as we know, only one of those coins out of the three is only one of those is appropriate for this kind of use case, and
Mhm.
it's probably not Bitcoin or ETH. Just I think for stuff like this, you really need a fast chain.
Yes, you
If
do.
you're outside, or even if you're at home trying to pay for something, you don't want to be waiting around for days sometimes.
I
You're
agree with you
just
100%.
standing in line for days, waiting for your ETH to go through. Meanwhile, you paid like a 50% fee on it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the state of ETH right now. And I'm not
Yeah.
really exaggerating. I was trying to transfer some stuff around and do some swaps and stuff, and I just ended up canceling uh, the transaction because it was just ridiculously slow.
Yeah.
You know, I and the fee was like, I don't know, 60% of the
That's
value
absurd.
that I was trying to move. Right.
That's
They said they should add a dial-up noise while the payment starts. That would be a good feature for Bitcoin and ETH, because that's certainly what it feels like sometimes. Uh, but yeah, like this Paycoin is going to support Icon soon, and I'm excited for that. Not because of the Icon support directly, because I I'm actually convinced that the majority of people out there would rather hold their crypto than spend their crypto.
I absolutely agree.
Um, just because there's a lot of potential upside there that if you spend your crypto, you feel like that you might miss out on in the
Absolutely
future.
agree.
And yeah, so I'm excited that they're supporting Icon because it means they have the back end infrastructure
Hmm.
to also support tokens on Icon. So that's the important thing there. Because if Icon were to launch a stable coin in the future, and there's a few that are in the works, they could add support for that. You
Yes, they
know,
can. They
and
can.
yeah, so I think people might be wondering like, why would they use Paycoin instead of just their card or something? And I think one of the main reasons is that you actually get the Paycoin token as a reward, I believe, for using the app to pay. So I was looking on their website and there's this thing called like the community payback pool or something. So that implies that, if you're in the community, you use the app, you get some part of this Paycoin token, which is great. It's kind of like a
Mhm.
cashback sort of thing. So
Absolutely.
so yeah, that's why I think people would use it. But I think the limiting factor now is that there is no stable coin on there. And if there was a stable coin on there that was actually like can be used for day-to-day stuff, I think it would have to be on Icon, because
Right.
USDT, USDC, well, I guess USDT is also on Tron and a few other things, but like
Mhm.
USDC is primarily on ETH. So you're still going to have to deal with the fees and
Mhm.
all of that. How about you, Corey? What do you think about Paycoin?
I think Paycoin is one of the biggest news that we've seen in the last couple of months, and the reason why I say that is this: 60,000 merchants cannot be overstated on the idea that in South Korea, when you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ICX, not Cardano, not not Binance Chain, not any of the other cryptocurrencies that are in the top 10 or top 20, but ICX. It proves to me that Icon is positioning itself in South Korea to be a dominant cryptocurrency and a dominant force as a payment solution. And it's important to realize that some of these merchants that in those 60,000 are some of the most household chains in the world. 7-Eleven, KFC, Domino's. Those are three chains that I think everybody in this room, and I think if you asked anybody around the world what Domino's, KFC, or 7-Eleven is, a very small majority would not know who they are. That
Right.
speaks for itself. Not to mention the fact that when you have this type of adoption, it shows again longevity. And I read also similarly that a gaming store in Asia is going to accept Ethereum, Bitcoin, and ICX. And I think that that's proving the point, again, to connect us to Denal, that ICX is expanding. People say that ICX is not expanding when realistically speaking, it's expanding outside into traditional markets and traditional enterprises. And I think that that's one of the main visions of Icon from the beginning is to connect public and private enterprises. And we're seeing that come to fruition through implementations and integrations such as Paycoin. Fidel, that's a
Yeah.
good question. Do you think the reason for ICX to be added to Paycoin is the business relationship between Icon and Denal for the My ID Alliance? That's a very good presumption. Now, I can't jump to conclusions on that, but I can definitely say that that would probably have a reason behind it. I think that that would be probably one of the fine reasons why ICX has been added to Paycoin. And it goes to show again, 81 partners. The opportunities are limitless, and this is just one implementation from one partner out of
Yeah.
81.
Yeah. I think the thing with Icon is they're not super, and I'm not talking about Icon Loop. I'm talking about Icon Foundation, like
Mhm,
the pub the public chain. They're
mhm,
they're relatively timid when it comes to announcing partners. They're not announcing stuff every single week, but when
Right.
they do announce some stuff, I feel like it's always big. So
Yes.
that's definitely the right way to do it in my
Yes, it is.
mind. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
So how about let's go ahead and move to the
Q&A.
Q&A. I think we'll do 5 questions.
I'm
I
excited
took
for this.
screenshots of some of the questions here that I thought were good. So let's go ahead and go through those. And after the show later today, I'll go ahead and send out the rewards to these addresses. So the first one is from ICX Capitalist. Do you see all the upcoming exciting projects like Balanced, OMM, and Bridge in the following months be enough to break all-time high? What do you think, Corey?
Oh, this is a position that I try not to put myself in because price predictions are so hard to make, and I really believe that people should follow their own destiny, and I'm usually ambiguous when it comes to price predictions. I do say that in the midst of a bull market with balanced out OMM, Icon 2.0, Paycoin, I think that this has the opportunity to propel Icon higher than what it is now. I absolutely agree with that 100%. And the TA also, I'm not very well versed in TA, but the people who I do know, who I ask for TA advice, kind of follow that notion that ICX is going to go higher. And it's important that we realize that the biggest resistance, or one of the biggest resistance, is about 450. And with the release of Balanced DAO and OMM and Bridge and Craft and Marvelous and Project Nebula and Epics and Catena expanding and Icon 2.0, among many others that I don't have off the top of my head, I do believe that the price increase will be very large in the next couple of months. Can I say how much? No. Will I say how much? I don't want to put myself or anybody else in a position where they change their own financial points of entry or exit. So I will say on that note that I do believe that these will have an upside potential for ICX price, and I do believe that it will rise. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I don't know if it's going to break the all-time high from these developments, because more often than not in crypto, like the quality of the underlying project is not really reflected in the price. The price can be completely random, and there's
Yeah.
a number of reasons for that. It might just be like the bots prefer to trade certain coins. There's more volume, or it's basically at the will of the market makers, unfortunately, at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Agreed.
but we can say for sure that projects like Balanced, OMM, and Bridge will add more value to the Icon network. That's not saying it'll pump the price. It's saying it will make the Icon network more valuable as a network. And specifically, I really like what Bridge is doing.
Yes.
It enables a lot of because it's like so for those who don't know, it's like a login solution for dApps that actually abstracts out the blockchain side of things, which is really important because if you're wanting a dApp to go mainstream, you don't want people to log in with a bunch of random numbers and
Yeah.
like the address of your wallet, which is essentially your identity on the blockchain. You want to have a login method which abstracts out the technical blockchain side, but still is able to use blockchain in the back end. And that's
Yes.
exactly what Bridge is. So instead of signing in with, HX, whatever long string of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
people can just sign in with, I believe it works through their email address. So kind of like how Slack works, you log in and it sends you a one-time link. that you can use to log in to your email. So that's offloading the user onboarding flow over to email, which everyone is, I don't want to say everyone, but most people probably know how to use their email account. So that's like stuff like that is really important. And
Yes, it is.
I don't see a lot of this UI and UX stuff going on in other projects. And that's really exciting to me because that's the stuff that I really like to do. I'm not super technical in terms of, the actual trying to write code side of things, but I do like to build things, and I like to build things that I think people would actually be able to use. And looking at all of these things on Ethereum, for example, all these like different swap platforms, I just look at it and I ask myself, will my mom be able to use this? Like, and it's not about age, my brother is actually younger than me, but he's not super technical. He works in the arts, and I ask myself, will my brother be able to use this swap platform on ETH? The answer is no, because first of all, you have to install like a wallet extension. For most people, it stops there. They're like, what is a wallet extension? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
absolutely agree.
so
Absolutely agree, man.
the fact that we have something like Bridge, which allows us to, first of all, it serves two functions. It's abstracting the identity to the email address instead of blockchain address, and it also provides an on-ramp for fiat. Those are the two most important things that you need to onboard the mainstream onto crypto. They're not going to go to Coinbase, buy ETH, send it to this swap platform.
Yeah, it's so
that's just not going to happen. We can't expect them to be able to do that. Yeah, and Connor over here just said MetaMask and Uniswap was terrifying for me. And
I've never been used them.
I've been in this space for like 6 years. I still don't like to use it.
I don't even use them.
It's crazy. And a huge thing about the user experience, perhaps one of the most important aspects of it, is the transaction speed, where you can have the login side of things down, but if people go and try to make a transaction and they have to wait for days, that's a bad experience. So the fact that we have both these people within the Icon community thinking about the experience side as well as properties of the network where the transactions are very fast. It provides all of the blocks that we need, for people to build things that can actually be used by the mainstream, not just the
Absolutely.
crypto vacuum. So I don't know if it's going to affect price, but I think it's going to make the network more valuable because it gives us the
Agreed.
tools to be able to do many cool things. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, let's see. Do you see any interaction in the future with Binance Smart Chain now that they are a P-Rep and Icon's interoperability capabilities? That's from Joseph Garcia. Since Icon is aiming to be interoperable, I don't see why that couldn't happen, right? Because
I agree.
if the business side of things makes sense for it to be there, it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I recall that I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I recall them saying they would support Ethereum, Tron, maybe, and EOS, I believe. there's probably some reasons behind that. I think I saw this somewhere on a post that they were looking into those chains to support initially, and I guess that makes sense. It's in the top 10
Yeah.
coins, but now that Binance is number 3 or whatever.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe how it's three. That's not that I couldn't believe it in a bad way, but like $300. I remember
Yeah.
looking at it when it was 80 cents.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Insane.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Binance has been on an insane run. So
Yes.
yeah, I think that in the future, if more projects start to build on Binance Smart Chain, it starts to get more adoption. I'm sure that the team will want to look into that. I don't know if Binance being a P-Rep actually changes anything. Like I feel like they're only a P-Rep in order to offer staking to their customers.
Mhm.
I don't think the first priority there is to, build a bridge between Binance and Icon, but I
Right.
could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But if the market demands it, it'll happen.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree on that.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. Does Icon have any plans for a fiat gateway to the crypto space? Do you want to take this one, Corey?
If I'm not mistaken, because Bridge is going to be I remember hearing something about Bridge having a fiat gateway. Am I wrong on that presumption?
No, that's what I believe as well. So
Yeah.
the idea of Bridge is to be able to bridge between the traditional finance and Icon. So that means
Right.
being able to onboard your fiat and convert that to Icon or whatever that process looks like.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is not exactly a fiat gateway, but once Balanced launches, you'll be able to deposit your Icon tokens and use it to borrow a stablecoin from the Balanced network. So that's not really a gateway, but it gives you a way to use your ICX as backing for a
Right.
stablecoin loan. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Same here. I think Bridge is going to be a very exciting innovation of the Icon ecosystem.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more. So that Viola kid asks, and I think this is a great question for people who might be new to Icon. What makes Icon better than what makes Icon better than Ethereum as a smart contract platform?
Do you want me to take
So
that one? Or do you want to take that one?
yeah, I think we can both give feedback on that, but you can go first.
Sure. I think lower transaction fees is definitely one big reason why Icon is situated to be better than Ethereum in that respect. And it has over 9,000 transactions per second. Whereas Ethereum is much slower, and the biggest complaint right now is gas fees, is how expensive transactions are. So I think that the biggest thing right now with Icon is that it needs more exposure to developers. And when developers realize, wow, that the transaction fees and the speed of this blockchain is much higher than Ethereum, I think we'll see a lot more developers onboarding onto Icon. So that's why I think Icon has better technology than Ethereum does.
So this is a tricky question sometimes because I think if Icon were truly better in all aspects, then the market would be moving to Icon completely. And
Mm-hmm.
since that isn't the case, there's definitely a more nuanced situation going on, I think. But I think the points that you mentioned are valid, where the biggest thing that Ethereum is running into right now is just the cost of interacting with the network.
Right.
And that really is a huge problem because not many people can afford the fees.
Right.
Ethereum right now is a blockchain for the first world. People who don't live in first world countries and have a like decent paying job, they're not going to be experimenting with their stuff with their funds on Ethereum.
No, they're not.
Just because every single interaction is going to cost you a significant amount of money.
Absolutely.
So that's a really big issue. But from the technology side, from the kind of developer tooling side, the status of maybe like there's a lot of documentation and content to teach people how to build. I think Ethereum, from that respect, has a lot more stuff, and
Agreed.
That's probably mostly a product of Ethereum being first to the game. They've been around a lot longer than Icon. So I think they were like early 2010s, and Icon didn't have their ICO until late 2017. So
yeah,
that's like a 4 to 5 year head start, which is huge. And yeah, like Fidel said, there's a lot of things that are just not technically possible to build on ETH right now. So IconBet, I think it's the most popular dApp on the Icon network. Yeah. Something like that would be just impossible on ETH, both because of the fees. It's hard to convince people to participate in a casino if the fee is going to be so huge, right? And then there's also the issue of the block speed, where block speed and how it correlates to the user experience is really important, because it defines the lowest threshold of time that is required for an interaction to take place. So if you're trying to like spin the thing and then it has to do a compute process on Ethereum, I don't know how long that's going to take, but on Icon it's probably going to be around 2 seconds. And with Icon 2.0, I think that might be a bit faster. So I think 2 seconds is not super fast, but it's certainly fast enough for an interaction with an app to be at least like you can bear it, right? So that's super cool. Yeah, so that's why I think, I don't know if Icon is like a better smart contract, because you need to define terms, like what you mean by better. But I think in terms of like the properties of the network, being able to, support apps that people can actually use, from that respect, I think Icon is better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. And did you have anything else that you wanted to add on that?
All I want to say is that, just as a statement of being part of Icon, that Icon is positioning itself to be a very viable option, a very viable alternative option to Ethereum, especially when you have faster transaction rates and lower transaction fees. And IconBet's a perfect example of that. IconBet, for many of you who don't know, IconBet is not only the biggest dApp in Icon, but it is in the top 20 of all dApps in the cryptocurrency ecosystem by 24-hour volume. That's something that people don't realize about IconBet, and IconBet would not be able to exist if it was built on Ethereum. It's built on Icon, and it's able to prosper because of Icon's technology. IconBet is the best example of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's also the fee sharing feature, which allows people who operate the dApps to pay the fees for the people who use it. So that's huge, because in order to use a dApp on Ethereum, you need to have Ether. But
Exactly.
in order to use a dApp on the Icon, you don't always need the Icon token.
Right.
Because there is a system in place for the operator of the dApp to pay the transaction fees.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to address is just some classic FUD squashing. I've seen this thing go around. People keep asking me. In the past, I've mentioned that a P-Rep node on Icon costs $2,000 to $3,000 to run properly, and there's been this movement within the community on certain channels where people just like to take this out of context, as many people do in crypto. They like to take things out of context and inject their own context into it and then turn it into some kind of mental gymnastics thing. So I'll just answer this, I guess. So yes, a properly run P-Rep node can be very costly. If you look at the recommended specs of the P-Rep node on Icon's website, that instance is going to cost you, 12 to 1500, and it's only going to go up more as the blockchain space grows. I mean, as the size of the blockchain grows. But
Right.
most of that money is going towards the CPU and the RAM, and so the recommended specs is 12 to 1500. But that doesn't mean you need a 12 to $1,500 node. If you can't afford it, or if you feel like it's not necessary, right? But those are the recommended specs. I know that some teams are running on $100 nodes and etc. But we have to remember that in the initial phases of decentralization, perhaps some of these newer teams that are trying to do this kind of FUD thing, they weren't around back then, so they don't know. But we actually ran a stress test, and guess what? All of the $2,000 nodes failed, right? So the point there is, if there is enough traffic flowing through Icon, I guarantee you, until we switch to Icon 2.0, which is built on Golang, so it's a lot more efficient than Python. If we get that level of traction, guess what? Your $100 node is not going to be up for the task. So I want to say that in blockchain, the infrastructure is the network. Without the underlying infrastructure, your network is valueless. So these
Right.
people who are trying to come out with this perspective saying, well, I can do what you do on a $100 node. Why do you have to pay 2,000 to 3,000 for it? Well, I don't think it's good to brag about, cutting down on resources in order
Right.
to maintain the network. I
Mhm.
see where they're coming from. They might see proper spending on infrastructure as a waste of money. But I think that perspective is flawed, just because if you don't have the infrastructure, you have nothing. Okay. So yes, the node is
Facts.
12 to 1500. We do keep a backup instance. So we have to pay for that storage. And if we do have to spin up that node, then the CPU and RAM are billed as well. And we also have a lot of stuff around the node that is like keeping track of the health metrics. All of those
Mhm.
services cost money, as well as when I'm sleeping. I want to make sure I have someone on call in a different time zone in order to be able to respond to things like downtime.
Right.
So if you're in the Icon community and you're fudding a main P-Rep for spending money on their node, that actually counterintuitively means you don't care about the health of the network, which is quite counterintuitive. So
Yeah,
that's
it
where
is.
I'll leave it. You guys can continue fudding and whatever. I know you're very good at that. So, you know, these people, right? You can do so much. You can do so much. They just have bad things to say.
I feel so bad for when you guys have to deal with that when RHIZOME is one of the best teams out there. It's been around since the beginning. And the fact that they have videos, podcasts, articles, newsletters, Twitter engagement, and so much more, and running one of the best nodes in the entire ecosystem. I mean, why attack a main P-Rep that's actually doing something? I don't understand it.
I don't know. I guess it's because we don't give away 75% of our rewards. But what can you do?
Yeah, you know, it's a crazy game. It's a crazy game, but you know what? I feel like every P-Rep that puts in work, you know, the FUD really needs to relax. It really needs to stop, and we all need to work together.
Yeah, we're just trying to build stuff. We're just trying to do stuff. So, all right, let's close it off there. It's been an hour and a half. I think the plan is to keep this going. I don't know you. I don't know about you, Corey. I really enjoyed this live stream.
Yeah, I'm definitely down to do this again, man.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thanks. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, definitely let me know the next time you want me to do this. And starting next weekend, I'm going to be starting a P-Rep repository video series on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to have expect a lot of videos on my YouTube channel as Creative Matt outlined. I'm going to do like a 5 to 7 minute segment on each P-Rep and how they and what they've done and what they are and who's in them, so on and so forth. A general overview of each P-Rep. So expect more videos, guys.
Sweet. And where can people find you on Twitter and YouTube?
Sure. At Corey Costa 123 is my Twitter, and YouTube is just Corey C icon census.
Cool. So I think after this is published, I can go ahead and add those links to the description so people can just click on it as well. So yeah, you can find us. Well, you can find me at twitter.com/BWHLI. And you can find us. You can find my P-Rep team at twitter.com/RHIZOMEICX. If you're interested in reading about Icon, I also suggest checking out my blog, brianlee.com. I frequently write about Icon on there. I do a weekly. Thank you. I try. I do a weekly recap post. So if you're interested in that, trying to keep up with the latest developments, yeah, be sure to check that out. So we'll be doing this again in the future, maybe weekly, maybe bi-weekly. So yeah, just subscribe to us and we'll keep you posted. Yeah.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.